And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Wednesday, June 11th, Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Oklahoma City heading to Indiana for a pivotal game because if the Pacers don't win this one, they're in some deep, deep trouble. But here, we're going to break it all down. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's up, y'all? How we doing on this lovely Wednesday? Happy hump day, everybody. I'm excited to talk about this one. We've got updated salaries. We've got updated ownership. We've got a very different game now because now we're in Indiana, and that changes up everything because now a 11-point favorite Indiana or 11-point favorite Oklahoma City team, just a 5-point favorite today. We should be expecting a slightly closer game. I think we're going to see a slightly different rotation. And what that ends up looking like today will be scary. I think it's a lot easier to make decisions for game 4 than it is for game 3. 1-1 heading to Indy. I think there's a bit more up in the air for today. So, I don't know. Let's just dive into it. No reason to... I don't want to go back and talk about game 2. What's there to say? OKC, absolute and utter domination. And we all saw it. So, let's just start at the top. The easy one to talk about. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 13K on DraftKings today. 80% owned overall, 32% at the captain. I am currently over the field on SGA in the captain spot. He's in every lineup that I have. I'm going to have a hard time getting away from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't think there's too much to say about him. I don't think they can really slow him down in any way. I don't expect that to change all that much. He's just very clearly the best play that you can get to. It's not really all that close. There's a reason that he has 30% more ownership than anybody else in this game. So I kind of just want to put Shai to bed because there's no take for SGA. I don't think there's too much of a take for J-Dub other than the fact that he's now 10,400. Still the second most owned guy. 14% at the captain, 38 at utility, makes him 52% owned overall. I don't see too many problems with that either. It does seem to me, just given the salaries, you've got J-Dub at 10.4, you've got Halliburton at 11K. It does seem to me that Halliburton is the odd man out there. I guess if we include Pascal Siakam at 9,400, that completes the range. I do think J-Dub and Siakam look better than Halliburton. I don't think, not from a talent perspective. I want to be clear when I say this. Tyrese Halliburton's not an 11K guy in this matchup against OKC. Just because of the way that OKC plays, he's just not going to be involved, generally speaking, in the same way. Now, if the Pacers come out here and smash, that might just be because Halliburton went insane. But I'm not surprised to see Halliburton getting the least amount of love of anybody that you pay up for, but least is also relative. He's the 6th most owned guy. He's in 42% of the lineups. It's not like I'm saying you don't get him, but I'm not shocked to see J-Dub be ahead of him. I'm not shocked to see Pascal Siakam be ahead of him. I'm not even really shocked to see Chet Holmgren be ahead of him. 8,400 is really great value. I think the thing that we need to talk about is the guy that's sitting there in the 4th most owned spot. And that is $2,400 Benedict Mathurin, the what seems like very clear top value option. You got Toppin, 10% less than him, $2,000 more expensive. The next guy that's even in his price range is $3,200 Aaron Wiggins at 15%. Don't worry, we'll touch on that too. This is interesting for me to see because I have been team Benedict Mathurin for this series in comparison to someone like TJ McConnell. McConnell at 4K today, got about half the ownership, or at least somewhere in that neighborhood. Look, it's really hard to get away from Benedict Mathurin as the value play today. Now, I think that's the most natural way to get a lineup different if he's going to be that owned, but I said it before game one. I said it before game two. I will say it again here today. I expect Benedict Mathurin to get leaned on more as this series goes on than guys that really extra special can't play defense. So I don't have any issue with the Mathurin ownership. I like him. I would have liked to see that not be there. I would have liked to see him have a price tag that doesn't create this sort of breakaway value option. But as of right now, I ran my sim to start the day. And when I did, Benedict Mathurin is my biggest fade right now. Not shocked by that. That is going to change, and it'll change once I talk to you guys about who I'm getting over the field on for different value. But if we're talking point per dollar, if we're talking like the most likely scenario for a value play, it is clearly Benedict Mathurin. That price tag just does not support the role that I expect him to have. The rest of these, like the mid-tier starters, the Nemhard, Hartenstein doesn't start, but you know what I mean. Nemhard, Hartenstein, Neesmith, Wallace. I don't have a ton of separation in all of those dudes. We kind of just know what they're doing. Like, they're definitely going to be out there. They're definitely not like stars. One of them inevitably, or two of them inevitably, will just make a couple more shots and become interesting. Those guys to me are very difficult to sift through. The next guy up is $4,400 Obi Toppin. I think he would be the next talking point. I've liked him in this series. I was happy to not have him in game two coming off the big game one day. I think he's very reasonable. Right now, I'm a bit under. I do think that will change. He's going to continue to get threes. That's just going to be what Oklahoma City is willing to give up. Does he knock them down? That is a bit of a question. There's one thing that I'm pretty confident they won't be doing today, and that is playing Obi Toppin as the 5 without Pascal Siakam next to him. Didn't go well in like the minute and a half that they did it or whatever it was. You can't do that. Another thing that I think they're also going to potentially sunset is Thomas Bryant, which we'll get to in a bit. But if there's less Thomas Bryant, and I don't think they should play Obi Toppin at the 5, I do start to get a little nervous about how much he's out there. I don't know if they'll bump Siakam down a peg. But ultimately, like, he's going to get opportunity. I'm nervous that it's just not going to be enough. But he's a guy that I find troublesome today, just because of his role. I alluded to it before. I guess we could just dive into it now. We'll get to Wiggins eventually. $1,200 Thomas Bryant. Now, when I ran my sims this morning, he's my number one stand. I have more of him than anybody else over the field for value, guys. I hate it. I hate it so much, it's crazy. Because I don't think it's going well. The moment that they get Thomas Bryant out on the floor, becomes a lot easier for Oklahoma City to go to double bigs. And if Oklahoma City is going to double bigs and Thomas Bryant is on the floor, Thomas Bryant is unequivocally and not close the third best big on the floor. There's two guys that are really good. Well, there's one that's like borderline all NBA. There's another one that is the ultimate defensive fit. Great offensively, great passer too. And then there's Thomas Bryant, the backup center for the Pacers, who is a permanent backup. So that matchup sucks. It's going to be about as difficult as possible to score against the double bigs. And I don't think they're all that worried about Thomas Bryant being the guy that kills him. So I think we could start to see, and again, this is the big takeaway, and this has nothing to do with Thomas Bryant specifically. Every game that goes by, we are probably going to be worrying about the bench less and less. Because just think about it like this and then work your way back. If it's game 7 of the NBA Finals, are you expecting 12 minutes out of Thomas Bryant and 14 minutes out of Ben Shepherd? No. Those are the games where it's just like, look, you guys just got to fucking play more. We can go back and look at, game 7 type scripts. I get it that these two teams probably go a little bit harder defensively and in transition, that it's like you're not just going to get 47 minutes across the board. But when you start bumping everybody up like 2 or 3 minutes, they got to come from somewhere. And all of a sudden, if you bump every starter 2 minutes, you got to take 8 or 10 minutes away from somewhere. And it's going to come away from these idiots at the end of the bench. So I'm nervous that they, 1, start playing Thomas Bryant slightly less. 2, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Tony Bradley can be healthier and get a rotation, which would come directly from him. Again, also sucks. But I think what they really need to do is play Myles Turner more. Now, they have been relatively loath to do that so far, but like, obviously 27 minutes is not enough in game 2, but like, let's assume that he sits for like 3 minutes here and then closes for 31 minutes is still not enough for Myles Turner, because he's the only guy that can do anything in that role. A stretch big that can actually protect the rim. And they've been good with Myles Turner on the floor. I think if the Pacers have any chances here, Myles Turner needs to be playing 34 minutes plus. And obviously every minute that Myles Turner plays is coming right out of the pocket of Thomas Bryant. So I am apprehensive about Bryant at 1,200. Like, I've got a much easier time picturing Kenrich Williams at 1K and 4% owned being a guy I want to get to, more than 10% more ownership, $200 more salary on a guy that they could erase potentially. The real problem for them is really just that they kind of get hamstrung with Toppin. Trell, I don't think he's going to have much of a choice. I really don't. And then we get to TJ McConnell, I guess. Let's hit the final indie guy that I think is worth talking about, because Ben Shepherd's just a wild card. He sucks too. McConnell's 4K. Ownership is, the end of the 20 percenters. There's like a huge gap between him and then the next level. So he's clearly in a different tier. I have repeatedly hated him over the past 2 games because I hate this series. Now, everything worked for him in the 18 minutes that he played. 5 of 7 from the field. He made a 3. It was disgusting, by the way. 3 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals. That's the ultimate TJ McConnell game. However, I also think he's about to start losing playing time. We're at that point now where we have to have the discussion, and it's very clear why it should happen. And it's the thing that no one will ever pay attention to, because nobody gives a shit about defense and everybody thinks it's just not a relevant discussion point, even though obviously it should be. They've played 2 games so far this series with TJ McConnell on the floor. He's played 35 minutes. When TJ McConnell has been on the floor, the Indiana Pacers have given up 131 points per 100 possessions. It's good 3-point shooting, but nothing crazy. 42% is like the Pacers normally. Shot quality's fine. Effective field goal percentage is fine. They're just dreadful defensively when TJ McConnell is on the floor. If you're going to give up 131 points per 100 possessions, you're never going to outscore people in that time. And that's why they have been outscored by 19 points in those 77 possessions. Good for a negative 24.5 plus minus per 100 possessions. I don't know how you keep them out there. I truly don't. I get it. You're probably going to have to give him like 6 minutes at the end of the first, beginning of the second. And I get you're probably going to have to do the same thing somewhere around the end of the third quarter. But you need to think about who else is out there with him, and you need to think about limiting that time. Let's also not forget, while they're giving up 131 points per 100 possessions, this is the part that's even scarier. They're scoring 107. Call it 106, actually. It rounds down to 0.49. Call it 106. I mean, that's like as bad as it could possibly be. That's the worst offense in the league. They're still shooting 50% from three with TJ McConnell on the floor. So not only are they not scoring, but like the shots are going in. They're just not creating anything. So they've had outlier positive shooting with McConnell on the floor, and they're still getting boat raced. I don't know when they pull the plug a little bit more, but it's going to happen, or it has to happen. Or the Pacers just continue to do it. They get the shit kicked out of them for the next 3 games, and none of this matters. But this is another guy where, like, I don't want 4K TJ McConnell. You have to thread the most narrow needle for him to be that dude as this series goes on. He's going to look for it, but one, if the Thunder are going double big in and around the times that he's out there, good luck getting to the rim. This is a guy that already can't make shots at the rim. And then he's going to do it against 2 7-footers. Good luck. So I've been shitting on TJ McConnell in this series the whole time. It's not stopping today. It's just not. The only downside to all of it is the fact that Mathurin is priced incorrectly. If Mathurin were like 3K and 30% owned, this would make this slate look a lot more interesting. But now I'm probably going to end up fading the best value play that exists. But guys like Caruso, Nesmith, Nembhard, Dort. I mean, Dort 5,800, 12% owned. Like, you know what that looks like. Just moonball threes falling. But it's those middle guys where, like, I don't have a take. I guess the guy that we should probably have the conversation about is $3,200 Aaron Wiggins, who is 15% owned. Now, we all know what he did last time out. Aaron Wiggins was 6 of 11 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 4 boards, an assist, a steal, an essential part of any lineup you have in game 2. I kind of like that he's under-owned. Or no, I shouldn't say under-owned. I kind of like that he's low-owned. The $3,200 price tag is saving us here, because that's what's not happening to Benedict Mathurin. I kind of feel like Wiggins is more owned than this. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that 15 is actually 20, but that's still lower than that next tier. He's going to be out there for sure. He is a good shot creator, and he's generally not going to be out there against the full scope of the starters. Like in this chunk that he played in the beginning of the second quarter, it's mostly Siakam, Nembhard, Turner, Mathurin, McConnell. Well, that's not a particularly great defense, although Turner being out there saves it. Turner also was only out there for about half of that run. When he did it in the second half, he missed basically all of Myles Turner here, got him in the fourth quarter. But I think that he's going to continue to get the looks that he wants. He's really good offensively in comparison to what people probably think he is. I mean, we're talking about a guy that I mean, last year shot 49% from three on limited attempts. This year, more playing time, bumped that up by 6 minutes per game, more usage. Efficiency came down, but still 70th percentile overall. Still shot 38% from three, 7 threes per 75 possessions. This is a guy that can create his own shot and can knock down shots when he's out there. Defensively, is he great? No, he's not. Can you get away with that against like 2/3 of the Pacers' second unit? Yeah, 100%. It doesn't become all that difficult. Especially when you can get a little chunk of like double big time potentially. So because of the ownership, I actually do like Andrew Wiggins today, even if I do think he'll be slightly more owned. I'm happy to go back to it because I don't think his minutes are going anywhere. Like we ended up getting 20 and a half out of him. Now I don't expect him to get 20 and a half today. I think, let's see, what do we have him projected for? We have Wiggins projected for 13 minutes. And I would say that like, that even feels like a tad, I don't mean like the projection itself is low, but like, I think I'd feel pretty comfortable setting it in like the 14 or 15 range too. 13 feels, I mean, that you could take away this tiny rotation at the end of the fourth. That's 42 seconds. And then the fourth quarter rotation itself. You could lop 6 minutes off of this. You could take out his entire fourth quarter, and that would put him where we have him today for minutes. And I think there's certainly upside to those minutes. Whereas a guy like Isaiah Joe today, who's 1,607% owned, but like, that's the tricky trade-off because they haven't gone to Joe as much, but all it takes is Isaiah Joe getting that first rotation and doing what Aaron Wiggins did last time, just making a couple threes, and he can just bite 4 or 5 minutes out of Wiggins, and all of a sudden Joe plays like 8. The problem for Wiggins is that they only need him in like specific situations. Because if Joe gets cooking, if Kenrich Williams is working, we saw them dust off AJ Mitchell in game 1. I don't think they'll do that again. They could just play some of the regular guys more minutes. There's certainly upward mobility there. So I'm happy about the price on Wiggins and what I think will be slightly higher ownership. To me, he's one of the easier ways to make a slightly different lineup today. So let me hit you guys with the questions, chat. And while you're here, hit that like button. It would be tremendous help. What do you guys want to do for value today? I don't care about your thoughts on SGA or Siakam or, Halliburton. That's easy stuff. What are you guys seeing for value today? What am I missing? What am I not missing? What do you guys want to do? How are you spending down? Because you got Mathurin, Toppin, McConnell, Wiggins, Bryant, Joe, Shepard, Kenrich. It's probably where we draw the line. Because right now I'm getting value I don't want. In Thomas Bryant, in Ben Shepard, in TJ McConnell. That will not be what I'm doing. Well, Chris, if you don't think you're going to go below Wiggins and you don't really want to play him, I don't even know how you're building a lineup because you're kind of out of people. Wiggins and Mathurin. Yeah, no disagreement. Yeah, look, I'm with you guys. Mathurin is the clear dude that's easy to get to. Leaving money. Gotcha, Chris. Playing both Wiggins and Mathurin and spending up. I don't think you're spending up as much as you think you are, but I could be wrong. I guess we could just pull that up now and see what it looks like. Single lineup sim. This is just for me wanting to get an idea of like what the structure looks like. Not necessarily me trying to make this build. So let's say we pop in Mathurin and no, not in the captain spot. Silly. Mathurin and where is he? And Wiggins. What does that fill out with? SGA, Toppin, Siakam, Halliburton. Yeah. And that makes sense to me. You get the double pay-ups. You probably need one more value guy there. I can't... this lineup's probably positive. It's... yeah, I mean, dead neutral. And I didn't like it to begin with. There are obviously ways we can shed ownership here and make it a little bit cleaner. But yeah, it does create a bit of a tough structure. It actually kind of makes me think that if you're going Wiggins, Mathurin, you're probably not going Shea captain. Like if I go Siakam captain there, it'll complete with SGA and two other dudes, but SGA, J-Dub, and Nembhard. My guess is that is enough of an ownership discount that it looks a little bit better. Oh no, way worse actually. Well, we'll see what that ends up looking like when I actually try to build a good one. So if Mathurin is having a strong game, who on Indy gets hurt for minutes? I mean, TJ McConnell immediately has to be the first guy. I think they come almost like, I think they come out of the bucket of Ben Shepherd and TJ McConnell to start. And then if there's any sort of Nembhard, Neesmith foul trouble, they would like whatever foul trouble is happening could also unlock that. Or simply just the health of Tyrese Halliburton, which I'm not super worried about. I've seen negative lineups in the single lineup get first. Yeah, that'll happen all the time. Every day, that'll happen. That doesn't make them good. That just shows you what the variance is. But they'll be negative constantly. Over and over and over again. I'm shocked that Lou Dort's 5,800. That is a really big price tag for this dude. That game one really went nuts. He'll probably hit a couple more moon balls in one of these games. I mean, Hartenstein's interesting to me. He's just kind of like appropriately priced, but I really do like this series a lot for him. They just don't need him to play big minutes. So, like, he's so, it's just like, I don't even, what's the word for it? It's an embarrassment of riches, I guess, for OKC. Because, like, if they just didn't have Isaiah Hartenstein and, like, Jalen Williams with a Y had to play a little bit more and Kenrich played a little bit more, it wouldn't even really matter in this series. But they get to add in Isaiah Hartenstein and, God, what a bonus. What an absolute bonus. Let me take a peek over on the FanDuel side, too, for everybody. Context-wise, SGA running away with the MVP spot. J-Dub up next. All that makes sense. Halliburton's slightly too expensive to me, but so is Siakam, so it makes Halliburton look a little bit more interesting. But all of this top section looks the same. The giant difference is you find Benedict Mathurin at 1,800, only 12% owned. Very different value equation. You know, you've got Toppin and Wallace in the 20s. I do think that makes a little bit more sense. Dort only 3,600 on FanDuel. That is a very different play. But I'm definitely more intrigued by the get different options at the bottom in your Wiggins and your Mathurins, Dort to a degree. I think it's easier to get a little weirder on FanDuel because of their pricing, but also, you know, these guys are projected for significantly less fantasy points. You need a hell of a run out for that value. All right, let me hit you guys with this. Since it's actually a little bit closer, I'll respect certain answers. Who wins today? Right now, Thunder 5-point favorites in Indy. I am expecting Oklahoma City to cover in this one, just to put that out there. But where are you guys going? Who wins this game? Aaron Hernandez from the grave says OKC. Thunder cover from Jay Brown. East LA, OKC. Stephen Leibowitz, OKC in cover. I feel like that's just sort of the thought process. There's Lou. Lou in for Indy. I just don't know how they do it. I don't know how it happens. All right, Lou, let's say you're right and it's Indy. Why does it happen? Who for the Pacers is having the outlier performance to carry it home? Let's see. What's the net rating in the playoffs up to now? It's got to be pretty tasty. By the way, guys, hit the like button. Don't forget, we've got shows all day, including Laffy. We'll have an MLB show for today. We kind of got a bit of a split slate. Make sure you're checking out Laffy and I's new MLB DFS video called The Perfect Lineup, where we drop 2 pitchers and a stack for everybody. We're giving out MLB subs every day too, so go check that out. I'll be back tonight, 8 p.m., live before lock, and you'll get me live on Playback, playback.tv/Stokastic. I'll be here for the whole game, folks. A couple hours of straight streaming. Excited to have you guys. Halliburton's going to smash tonight along with Turner. Indy takes the dub. Yeah, I got a hard time seeing that one. Oklahoma City in the playoffs so far. Plus 11.3 net rating across 18 games. That is 8 points clear of the Indiana Pacers in the same amount of games. Same record as well. Both teams 13-5 in the playoffs. Oklahoma City getting it done in a very different way. In a very clearly better way. That's why they're 5-point favorites on the road. We know what we're getting here. These two teams aren't the same. One of them is clearly better than the other. But we got 5 games left, and anything can happen in those 5 games. Halliburton 35 and 12 assists. I don't even think that's possible. I really don't. I think it's close to impossible for him to have the 30 points and a big assist day. I think you can get one or the other for him. I think it's really hard for him to have them both. Because I just don't think he's going to have the assist opportunities if he's able to get his shots. And if he's not able to get his shots, I mean, the degree of difficulty of what he'll need to take will just preclude it. I don't think you can get them both. The defense is just too good. I mean, we're talking about a 106.6 defensive rating in 18 games in the playoffs. 106.6. Just for reference sake, because I think this is going to be pretty telling. Their defensive rating in the regular season was 107.4. They've actually allowed less points per 100 possessions in the playoffs than they did in the regular season. Now, that's not like crazy surprising to me, for just because while you play stronger competition clearly in the playoffs, you also play your best players more. You're not clogging that up with like Usman Jeng minutes and other idiots. So ultimately, I don't know how the Pacers crack the code. Halliburton shoots 33% from three, worst of Indy's five starters. Chet shoots 33 from three, best of OKC starters. I have Indy tonight at home. Okay. Okay. Chet or Jalen, I'm sure it won't be both tonight. I mean, there's no reason it can't be. They're going to get the looks, that's for sure. In 2 games, Halliburton has 31 and 12 total. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Siakam is a giant key. He's the only guy that can create on this team other than Halliburton. Like, yes, Nembhard does it from time to time, but like, let's pump the brakes. It's Andrew Nembhard. If Siakam can't get going, like, I don't think anybody can. And that's really the trickiest part there. If they don't have Siakam going, everybody else is dead. And the problem really, and I don't mean this to like shit on Siakam, but like the way he plays is not really conducive to like everybody else being involved too. It's a lot of ISO. It's a lot of like, you know, finding a mismatch on the block. They've been getting SGA on him on switches into the paint. I don't think that Oklahoma City cares about it at all because these guys are so active with like their reach-ins and their potential fouls, or not potential fouls, and like their potential steals, that I don't think they mind at all having that small matchup on Siakam because they're just going to swarm him. And that's truly like the biggest issue for me in this entire series is that Oklahoma, and swarm I think is the perfect word. Oklahoma City just moves in conjunction with each other and they're everywhere all at once. Somebody's getting their hand on a ball, somebody's in a passing lane, somebody's causing havoc, or two somebodies are causing havoc. And even when you get the ball out of that havoc, your help defense is the best in the league and arguably the best it's ever been in basketball. And that, to me, that's not even a crazy statement because help defense has not really been a thing in the past in comparison to where we are now. I mean, I saw something about their closeouts in game 2. If I can get to that as quick as it happened this morning, so I should be able to scroll and find it, but I'd love to shout it out here. Let's see, that was an hour ago. Oh yeah, I should be able to find this. Keep scrolling. I just wish I could remember who did it. I probably liked it. That's probably okay. Yeah, Crumble Jumper. Shout out Todd Whitehead. The Thunder had 45 closeouts in game 2. That's the second highest total they've had in the postseason. Caruso had 7, J-Dub had 7, Hartenstein had 7, Dort had 6, Wallace had 5, Chet had 5. Those just aren't fun. They just aren't fun. Do you think Indy would start Siakam at the... No, never. They will... Lou, they will never start Siakam at the 5. You're forgetting that Myles Turner's on the team. TJ McConnell ladder points, you could have it. I mean, that's probably what I would recommend doing if you like fade him in DFS. That way you don't like want to kill yourself by the end of it when he actually does it. But he's just not going to be out there enough. That's the only real downside. Like TJ McConnell to score 10 points is plus 240. 15 is plus 900. Like, you don't even have to go higher than that. He's plus 900 to score 15 points. I'm going to throw $5 on that to offset your entry fees if you fade him. I could get it, but I mean, do they even have odds for him to score 20? No, they don't, clearly. I don't think that Indy has any more buttons to press or levers to pull, whatever analogy we want to use here. I just don't think they have it. Which is, you know, it's the finals. Like, eventually you run out of juice. And they just don't have the same juice. It's been a great story. It's been fun to watch, but these teams aren't comparable. They're just not. There's a chasm between them both. And I don't really have an idea how Indy could ever crack this defensive code. Because everywhere you look, it's just a average to plus defender, whether it's Shea, whether it's J-Dub, whether it's Chet, whether it's Hartenstein, whether it's Caruso, whether it's Case and Wallace, whether it's Dort. Every single one of those guys that I just named is either above average or elite defensively. They never get a second to breathe. There's never a time where Oklahoma City has a lineup out there like, all right, this is the one that the Pacers need to take advantage of. No, they don't have it. Because one of Chet or Hartenstein is going to be pretty much on the floor at all times at this point, if not both. And your perimeter defense is not going to get any better than this, so I can't help it, but I'm aggressively leaning OKC. I have more 5-1 OKCs than 5-1 Indies, which is surely not surprising. And then I'm like 2-1 on OKC four-mans in comparison to Pacers four-mans. Steven, that's a great point. He said, I want to take a minute to remember how incredible Jokic is to drag his team to 7 versus OKC. Yeah, if that is the ultimate, like, that dude is incredible. Because you could have all this size, you could have all this crazy defense, but when the ball is in his hands, he's going to find somebody. And the problem for Denver was just simply they didn't have enough somebodies to do it, which is a real shame. 18 plus on McConnell is 30-1. Yeah, you guys could have that. Who am I missing? Is there anybody I haven't talked about yet that you guys want me to talk about a little bit here? I've been going for about 45 minutes and I'm fresh out of interesting shit to say. Yeah, Emwald. Yeah, I agree. I mean, they both would have been favorites against the Pacers. Would have been interesting, though. I don't know how the hell the Pacers would have stopped Jokic. That wouldn't have been a good time for them. All right, let's build a DraftKings lineup. Let's see where we end up. Randy, because they're giant underdogs. We're acting like they're dead because they're giant underdogs. Oklahoma City is minus 650 to win the series. When, like, the best pitcher in baseball faces the Rockies, he's like minus 350. Are they dead? No. Are they dead if they lose today? Yeah, probably. We got to stop thinking that because the series is 1-1 that, like, that's equal. It's equal in the series. It's not equal from an evaluation standpoint. Did Wiggins play himself into more minutes? No. No, he is significantly more likely to play less minutes than he did in game 2. Is Toppin dead this series after game 1 or no? No. They were giant underdogs in game one. That is true, as they should have been. All right, where do I want to go at El Capitan? I mean, Shea just having the 20-point gap in projection is so big. I'm going J-Dub captain. None of these things matter once the game starts. They all matter. That's all we can do is evaluate it before the game starts. Let's go J-Dub. Let's go Shea. I can't go Thomas Bryant value because I hate it too much. I'm going to go Kenrich. And Toppin. What does it fill? Myles, Turner, and Chet. 200 on the table. I feel pretty good about this, but Kenrich might just be too low. Yeah, Kenrich is just too low there. So let's pull Kenrich, Chet, and Turner. I just give up too many points for Kenrich. Oh, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to click TJ McConnell's name. What does that fill out with? Siakam Mathurin. 1,200 on the table. That's going to be... This is going to be too much ownership. 93 Suns. Who's playing the role of Dan Marley in this one? All right, maybe it's not J-Dub. Maybe if I save a little bit more salary with Siakam, then get J-Dub, Shea. I'll test out my Kenrich take again. That gives me Chet Mathurin. I think this one's going to be positive. I'm pretty happy with that one. Might just be too low again with Kenrich. Yeah, it's still too low with Kenrich. Or the problem, Shea. We'll try the Shea captain. Siakam, J-Dub. Now I'll get my boy Kenrich. But I have way more salary to go around. Gives me Nembhard Mathurin. Sub 200 ownership I like. Yeah, I think we're learning that Kenrich Williams is the bugaboo there for me. If I don't put him in there, Nembhard Mathurin. Oh, this one gives me Thomas Bryant. I'm not going to like that at all, but I think the issue is that Bryant's projected for like 4 more fantasy points. Yeah, there it is. There's your positive. Bryant over Kenrich is creating this, but I don't totally agree with that. Well, guys, I think we've reached the end of the line for game 3. Obviously, I'll be around tonight for a couple hours to break this bad boy down. Hit me up in our Discord if you have any questions about today's slate. Baseball video will be out, I don't know, sometime in like the next 2 hours or so. Lofty should be going live in the next 10 minutes, so enjoy that one, everybody. And good luck. Don't forget, sign up at Stokastic. If you want the Sims for the rest of the playoffs, you can grab a week of the NBA Sims if you want. If you want to check out baseball, MMA, golf, we got a big one coming up this week for golf if you want to get in. Definitely have some promos going along too, so keep your eyes peeled for those. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Good luck to you all. I'll see you guys tonight for game 3. Make sure you're coming to watch with me on playback.